Let's see if I can get this one right. This is going to be the third or fourth time I've tried this one. It's a long guideline, it is. This one about vetting of resources and being very careful about the materials that we give to you. And I want to make sure that I get it right. And one of the great things about not doing them live is that I can start over and press the reset button again and again and again. But let's hope that this last take is the one that will wind up saying, it's a wrap. It's an extremely important guideline, this one is, and it's one that makes for a lot of misunderstandings and sometimes even a lot of people getting in their feels about us rejecting what they feel is a gift. And I totally get that. There are two things that are important to note here in this guideline. One, that we are indeed extremely careful about the pacing and the timing of the materials that we give to you, both the things that we make original, either that I've written myself or my staff or contributing writers have presented to you, as well as things that we give to you in terms of articles and memes. Believe it or not, for every article that I post up for Lace on Race, we've had, most of the time, we've had conversation about it. And also, there's at least 10 others that I've said not for us. Either not for us because there are pieces, parts I don't agree with, and I want to be able to affirm the article as a whole. Um, or also that even if I agree with the thrust of the commentary, that I have a problem with the messenger. And I realize that a lot of times people will say, who cares who said it as long as what they're saying has merit. Well, with us, where we turn on the relational and where we feel that who we are is as important as what we think or what we do, yeah, it matters a whole lot. So it matters to me when I am looking at a video or reading an article or a book and I'm saying, wow, I wish I liked this person. I wish I respected them more. Luckily, there's enough out there that I usually can find something where not only do I feel good about the material that I'm presenting to you, but I feel good about the person who is presenting it. Let's talk about Terry Real for a minute, who I like, but also 30 years ago was as problematic as they came. And I have noticed that when I'm giving you materials from the 80s and the 90s, you're saying, oh my gosh, he is one misogynist. It's like, yeah, actually, the irony is he was better than most of them 30 years ago. Now, when we're looking at newer material, we can hold him to a higher standard and without taking away some of the foundational things that he did early in his career as a writer and as a therapist. So we can look at things with a very critical eye, but also with some grace. It's the same thing with us. Um, when a lot of times people will say, hey, you need to read this, and they'll put down, and they're not doing it. They are not doing it. To be insubordinate or any of those other dreadful words. They really are doing it in right spirit. What they don't always know, though, what they are not always aware of, is the fact that I have in my head kind of where I want you to go as a group and also sometimes even individually. And so there are materials that it's like, oh, this is awesome. When they're ready for it, this is going to be great. But they need to have these building blocks first before I'm going to introduce this. One of the things that y'all don't always realize is that I've read a lot of what you guys are suggesting to me. And I would like you to be able to hold my saying or my staff or leadership team saying, no, thank you, or more often, not completely or not right now. Timing and pacing is really important for us. And in all honesty, I'm hoping that we'll be able to go a lot faster with Chef's Table because there are some materials that I would like to be able to give you that we're simply not ready for yet. Danny and I and staff talked about this a lot. And we also looked at some of the deeper reasons, not just the here's a really good resource and I think you'd like it, but also sometimes the meta message of what's being said. So if someone is giving us a resource, what are they saying? Are they saying that we didn't read it, we didn't think of it, that this might be a better way to go, that they think that they know more about the topic than we do? And all of those things could be true. What we ask is that you sit on it a while. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. See if eventually we come up with a resource or something similar to it. See if it's something that's like, oh, this, I see why she kind of held off on this. I'm asking you to trust me and to trust us and to trust our discernment as to the pacing and timing of materials. What's also sometimes true is that while people are busy trying to give me an ancillary curriculum, they're not doing the work that they need to do with themselves. Because it's really easy to go, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm going to do Google searches and give her a list of resources. It's like, y'all need to remember that the resources we give you, while important, are secondary. The meat is always going to be in the comments. What we do in the comments as we relate to and engage with each other is more important than the materials that we give you, including some of the materials that I think are really important. So when people are trying really, really hard to vet or really, really hard to corroborate or to refute, that's telling me that they are not in right spirit when they're engaging with the material and when they're engaging with me and with the community. So I would ask you to consider that too. If you still think the resource is necessary for 6, 9 months, a year later, you might find that you are not the same person that you were 6 months or 9 months ago, that something that you thought was a huge epiphany may not be so much one anymore, or an angle that you thought was important to hit or to consider may not be considered as important as it once was. All of these things can be true. That does not make your wanting to give the resources wrong. What I am saying is to trust the pacing and the timing. And if you want to go faster and deeper, you set the stage in your own life to be able to go faster and deeper. And that means showing up relentlessly, showing up reliably, reading all of the posts, reading what you're given, eating the meal that you're given instead of wishing for other ingredients, if that makes sense. So, we present this to you with care, the entire meal. And we want to make sure that what we are giving not only you, but to the other 10,000 people are things and resources that we feel good about sharing. So it's easy to do. Shoot us something in Messenger. We will thank you for it and we will consider it. It is not necessarily going to be a rubber stamp. You need to know this because that's also been sometimes a little bit of a bone of contention. So someone will think that they're hitting on the letter of the law. I sent it to her in Messenger and it's been 20 minutes. Can I post it up? No, not necessarily. You're giving it to us, again, our pacing, our timing. We want to make sure that not only you, but that everyone is getting everything in the right amount, in the right time. We love you very much. We do our best by you and we give our absolute best, both in terms of original content and aggregated content. And we are grateful that you are here with us.